Iowa Clover Power Cooking School is now in session. Get ready to learn how to prepare another nutritious snack recipe with some simple ingredients along with your Iowa State University Cooking School friends, showing you how to make cooking fun and healthy.
Hi friends, welcome to the Clover Power Cooking School. My name is Allie and I study diet and exercise at Iowa State University. And today I have a very special guest. Hi Sai, how are you? Today we're going to be cooking with Sai and we are making a snack recipe full of fruit. Do you like fruit, Sai? Yes, I love fruit too. We are going to be making breakfast splits from Iowa State University's Spend Smart, Eat Smart website. So the first thing we're going to do before we get started with our breakfast splits is we are going to wash our hands. Now, Sai and I, we already washed our hands, but if you haven't already yet, please go wash your hands with warm soapy water. Scrub in between your fingernails, in between your fingers, back of your hands. Now that we have our hands washed, we are going to set out our ingredients and our supplies. For our ingredients today, we have a banana, low-fat yogurt, granola, and fruit. Today we're using an apple, and we have a kiwi. For our supplies today, you will need a bowl or a shallow plate, some measuring cups, a 1/2 measuring cup and a 1/4 measuring cup, some spoons, a cutting board, and then a paring knife, which is a small knife. All right, are you ready to get started, Sai? Let's get started. All right, friends, our first step is going to be cutting our banana. First, we're going to peel our banana. When you have your banana peeled, you can just set it off to the side or throw it in the trash. All right, we're going to use the claw method to cut our banana. We'll be cutting our banana just in half, but the long way. So right down the center. We have to be careful in cutting our banana because it has a little bit of a curve, and so we don't want it to roll around on our cutting board. So I'm going to use my left hand for my claw, tucking my fingernails under slightly, gripping the tip of the banana, and then taking the knife in my other hand. I'm going to go down the middle, stabilizing the banana with my fingers, moving my fingers down as I slowly move the knife down to cut the banana in half. All right, and then you have 2/2 of your banana. You can also use a plastic knife as well, since bananas are a softer fruit. We're going to take these 2/2 and you can put it in your shallow plate or bowl, and we're just going to set it up, the halves facing each other. All right, next we are going to cut our other fruit. So today I'm using a kiwi and an apple. If you haven't rinsed off your fruit, you can rinse off your fruit. And I'm going to start with our kiwi today. So with our kiwi, we have 2 little ends that we want to cut off that aren't good to eat. So again, I'm going to use the claw method since our kiwi is round and could roll around on our cutting board to stabilize the kiwi in the center, taking my knife, sawing gently back and forth to cut off that end. I'm going to do the same thing with the other side, gently stabilizing with my claw and cutting back and forth. And then we want to get the skin off of our kiwi. There are a couple ways you can do this. Today I'm going to be taking a spoon, but you can also use your knife to carefully peel the skin away from the kiwi. With the spoon method, you're going to take your spoon and place it all the way down your kiwi in between the skin and the fruit, and then slowly work the spoon around the skin and the kiwi. And then you can peel off the skin and you have the center of your kiwi. We're going to cut our kiwi up into smaller chunks. So again, I'm going to stabilize it with my claw method, and I'm just going to cut it in half, sawing back and forth. Now I have a flat surface of my kiwi, so I'm going to cut it in half again, and then in smaller chunks. Your chunks don't have to be perfect. We just want small pieces of our kiwi. This kiwi was a little smaller, so I'm going to use 2 kiwi so that we fill our half a cup. So same thing with our second kiwi. We're going to cut off the ends. And use our spoon. Put it all the way in the center and gently go around. It's okay if the skin rips or if you get a little juice on your cutting board or on your hands. Sometimes when our kiwi aren't as ripe, it can be a little bit harder to get it out with the spoon, but whatever you have, you can work with. Again, cutting in half and just making small, uneven chunks. Alright, we're going to set our kiwi to the side and we'll add it to our half a cup with our apple when we are done. So next we'll take our apple, and with our apple we are going to use our claw method to stabilize the top of the apple and take the knife, and you're just going to cut along one side of the apple, and I'm just going to go around the whole thing, cutting big chunks around our core of the apple. Alright, now we just have our core of the apple left. You can set that to the side, and you can take your bigger pieces, and on the flat surface that you've created, you can hold your apple, put it on the flat side of your cutting board, and you can just cut it again in chunks. It doesn't have to be even. I'm going to start by cutting it in smaller strips and then cutting those strips in half again to make chunks just like our kiwi. All of the fruit that we are using in our recipe today is a great source of vitamin C. Vitamin C is important because it helps boost our immune system, which keeps us healthy and keeps us from getting sick. It is also important for memory as we get older. Other sources of vitamin C include berries like raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, which would also be great options that you could add to your breakfast split. Alright, we just need to measure out a half a cup of fruit. So I'm going to take all my fruit that we've cut up for now, and I think we almost have a half a cup. So I'm going to bring my half a cup and measure it out to see if we're there yet. And it doesn't have to be exact. You can definitely put more than a half a cup of fruit on your breakfast split or less. Again, you can change up the fruit. You could use berries as a good substitute, oranges. Alright, I have a full half a cup here, so I am going to set that aside. And the last thing that we're going to do is assemble our banana split. So you can bring your plate to the center with your banana split. You have your half a cup of fruit, and then we're going to measure out our yogurt. So opening up your yogurt, we just need 1/4 cup of yogurt. And you can use any yogurt you would like. We have plain here. You could use a strawberry yogurt, a blueberry yogurt, peach yogurt. Alright, I have my 1/4 cup, and my yogurt's big enough that I'm just going to dip my 1/4 cup in. Again, it doesn't have to be exact. If you have a little bit over 1/4 cup, or if you wanted to use the whole yogurt, you definitely could do that as well. Just going to set my leftover to the side. And then our last topping will be our granola. And we just need 1/4 cup of our granola as well, or you can sprinkle that on however you would like. Again, I'm just going to dip my 1/4 cup into the granola and set it aside. Alright, now we can assemble our breakfast split. The first thing we're going to put on is our yogurt, and I'm going to use a spoon to help spread the yogurt out in between our 2 bananas here. So going down our split, getting all the yogurt out of our measuring cup, and you can kind of spread it out as well. Then we're going to top with our fruit, and I'm just going to take my fingers and sprinkle my fruit on top. And lastly, we're going to top it with the granola. Same thing, I'm just going to use my hands to spread the granola evenly across the top of my fruit. And we have our breakfast split. Doesn't that look good, Si? Our breakfast split today is packed with vitamin C. What are some other fruits that you think that you could add packed with vitamin C onto our breakfast split? Cherries, yes, red like you, Si. Cherries would be a great option, packed with vitamin C to put on our breakfast split. When you have fruit at home and are making a snack, what's another fun way that you could enjoy the fruit just like our split? Maybe if you had a graham cracker, you could put the yogurt on top of a graham cracker and fruit and make a little fruit pizza. I want you to think of some more ways at home that you can enjoy a fun way to enjoy fruit for a snack. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Clover friends. We are going to taste test our breakfast split. We'll see you next time at the Clover Cooking School. Bye!